Son of the Dagda, possessor of the Brú na Bóinne, a lover, dreamer, and aid to heroes, who was Aengus mac Og. The name Aengus means great power, but in origin it seems to have come from a Celtic name meaning one choice. It's possible that this reflects an idea of unity, for a reading of some of the myths surrounding Aengus mac Og involve romances. His kisses are said to cause love, and he has Enbale, the birds of ecstasy. He is a foster of Dermot and plays a role in the story Dermot and Grania, where they seek his aid after the ill-fated lovers try and make their escape. His very conception is the story of passion realized. The great Dagda, lord of the earth, who governs the forces of life and death, came to passionately desire Boin, who in the tale is identified also as Enya, yet she was the wife of Elkmar of the Brú. Not to be turned away from his desire, the Dagda sent Elkmar away on an errand, and used his powerful magic to make one day into 9 months, likely also expressing the Dagda's power over time. In this 9-month day, Aengus was born, conceived at dawn, and born during midday. He was fostered by Mithir, a brehon of the gods, and does not know of his father's identity until mocked for being without a father of note and thus of low status. This sets in motion a series of events that would see Mithir fall in love with Edain and go to great lengths to retrieve her when she had been lost, showing a direct connection between the Mac Og to this passionate feeling of love. Yet if we were to conclude that Aengus is just a Celtic Cupid, that is likely a bit off the mark. The same tale tells of how he obtained the Brú. His father instructs him to violate a day of sacred truce and to draw arms against Elkvar and force him to give up the place for his life. While much is made about the Brú na Bóinne connection to the sun due to its winter solstice alignment, overlooked often is its connection to death. Death and the sun were closely linked in the Bronze Age, and it seems that the sun served as the vehicle of the soul, which brought the dead into the land of the West, the place where it sank every night. The Brú began as a burial site and remained a burial site for kings, and was understood as such well ahead of any connection with the sun, although there is such a connection present. The Brú na Bóinne is thus a perfect example of the connection between this world and the other world, where things go into the land of the dead but also come out of it, a passageway for life and death. In the second battle of Maig Tuired, it appears that the wise qualities of the Dagda have been taken over by his young son, leading some to think that the Mac Og, the young son, is the younger incarnation of the Dagda. In that tale, he advises his father on how to craftily murder Crindinvel, the satirist, who has been eating a third of the Dagda's rations. Able to foresee the future, Aengus gives his father 3 gold coins to put into the 3 bites given to Crindinvel, for the demand of the satirist was for the best 3 bites, and the gold was the best thing that the Dagda had. He foresees the judgment of Bress before it is given. He also foresees the very end of the battle before it has ever begun. When the Dagda is working, building the fortress of Bress, Aengus advises his father to request a particular cow for his payment. The king assembles all the cattle for the Dagda, but the one he chooses, on the advice of Aengus, does not seem to be the greatest. Yet when the battle has been won, it is this cow which all the other cattle follow out of the camp of the Fomorians and back into the possession of the Tuatha. The power of love in ancient and medieval Ireland was viewed as a dangerous and potentially deadly force. It put men and women into sickness, drove them to do foolish things. Even great heroes like Cuchulainn fall to its power and waste away, unable to rise from his bed, stricken by lovesickness. As one of the Dagda's main aspects is fertility, the Mac Og represents this force in its youthful form of love and springtime and the midday sun. Some have linked the Mac Og to the Welsh figure of Mabon, son of Modron, based primarily on the name similarities. Though Mabon was linked to Apollo in Roman Britain, the stories of him in Welsh myth detail a boy taken from his mother at birth and sealed away in a dungeon, likely representative of being beneath the earth. Once he is referred to as the son of Mellt, meaning lightning. He is rescued and serves as a great hunter. One inscription to him in Britain features a harper. His name was known in Gaul as Maponos, meaning great sun, and Loch Mabon in Scotland is named for him, as is the stone nearby called Cloch Mabon, which is thought to have been part of a stone circle that may have been used in worship of the god. Yet a magical invocation found in Gaulish and tentatively translated seems to invoke the god in a context of aiding magical powers. A suggested translation by Patrick L. Henry reads, "With this magical inscription I worship the godly, the divine Maponos Arvenatis. Through the incantation of women expedite us, and these following, the invoker and all of his companions, who will swear the oath, when he, Maponos, has bound it by oath, what was small will become great. I strengthen what is crooked. In time to come I shall see it so happen thus. Through the magical song inscription, I am preparing them for the oath. Swear. I am preparing them for the oath. Swear." But a number of Celticists have pointed out that what can be translated as preparing for oath could also mean preparing them for lugus. In any event, there seems to be a possible connection here. In Welsh myth, Mabon's grave is said to be near Nant Lle, the valley of Lugus. Both have an unknown father, and in Irish myth, Lug is most commonly identified with the mother, Lug mac Ethlu, which is very peculiar but fits with Mabon ap Modron. In Cilach and Olwen, Mabon obtains his freedom, and that tale resembles, strikingly, various myths about Cian fathering Lug and defeating the giant Balor. But whatever the case, it may have been that these two figures were connected in some close way in archaic times. In Irish myth, Mac Og is a god of love, of youth, and nearly inseparable from his father, so much so that he takes on his residence. A crafty counselor able to see the future, and one who binds people with the power of love. And this power of love is also strongly connected to inspiration, and so he is also connected to poetry and music, with beautiful things like the midday sun, like a sunny summer afternoon. And he was likewise a leader of battles, a horseman, an expert in arms, and mighty and stern. He had two swords, Mor Altach, meaning the great fury, and Begaltach, the little fury. Gai Buide, meaning the yellow spear, and Gai Derog, meaning the red spear. And it's possible to see those spears potentially as rays of light. And it's also possible to think that the furious weapons are related to this sense of passion that he controls. And he is likewise said to be red-armed. Some poetic descriptions of him say, "Then Aengus mounted his white steed and rode eastward. He was clad in raiment of shining gold, and from his shoulders hung his royal robe of crimson, which the wind uplifted and spread out in gleaming splendor athwart the sky. Aengus hath come, the young, the fair, the blue-eyed god with golden hair, the god to whom the world doth bring this morn the promise of spring. Scottish myth tells how he frees Brige from the captivity of the fairy queen of winter, and that they meet on the day of Imbolc, and that is when the flowers begin to blossom and the grass grows. But their wedding is disrupted by Beora, who chases them off with storm clouds on her black steeds. But eventually, she becomes weakened and must go to the Well of Rejuvenation, where she falls asleep, and Aengus and Brige become king and queen of summer. And so Aengus is the god of spring, as Brige is the goddess of spring. And so he is associated with the sun and light, and these aspects of love and romance that are tied in together with the coming fertility of the earth. Anyhow, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, you'll like and become a subscriber and not miss any further content, and to support my work through Patreon, where you'll be able to make special video requests and get access to unique content. Gurv mi lamagat as éisteach, agus marigoni, seas go hard.